So family, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my personal journey and what got me here. I'm the oldest of three. I grew up in Ottawa. This is my brother Michael and this is Laura. And my dad is an entrepreneur, runs his own business, and my mom raised us and stayed home and supported us and all of my immigrant grandparents who don't speak English and did my dad's accounting. And so her job was very big. But I wanted to include this because I think it all kind of stems from family. Education, so I continued on after high school and went to McGill. I did a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and minored in Psych. Was always really interested in understanding society and trying to figure out how I could fix all the problems that I saw or felt. I continued on and did a master's in public health at Queen's University. And I also want to share that, part of my story is being really supported by my parents, and that means also financially. They supported me through school, and that is not to be disregarded. Relationships. So I think it's really important to mention relationships. This was my boyfriend Dave, is, but you'll kind of see that transformation. We were 22 here, and relationships have been really important to me because he was the first person who really believed in me, and during our time together we were both at Queen's, and that's when I was first starting to pick up a camera and exploring my skills and how I saw the world with a camera. This was one of my first photography jobs. This is my friend Shalane. I first used a digital SLR because her dad's a photographer, and it was her camera that I picked up at a party and snapped a photo and was like, this is really cool, I'm going to do this. But this was a side job, so I also worked full-time for the City of Ottawa after I graduated as a project coordinator for a director. Happiness, so I wasn't happy at that job. I think there's a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves to be happy all the time, and it's impossible. I don't think anyone's ever always happy, but I knew that in that job I was not expressing what I had to say to the world, and I knew that if I didn't do something about that now, and that now was when I was 26, I would be really kicking myself in 10 years. And so looking back, I'm really happy that I did something about that. Heartbreak and discovering truth. So Dave and I broke up, and this was really important for me, actually, and my becoming a woman that stands on her own and isn't always seen kind of in partnership. And I really got a kick in my butt when that happened because I started taking a lot of risks and discovering my own truth, yoga, and I went to Bali and did my yoga teacher training. Okay, not finishing that thought. But I did that, and having it all. At 25, I had all these things that as a little girl, I was told that, were going to make me really happy, and I had them, and I wasn't. And so I started trying to figure out, what is it that I wanted? If I wasn't going to use this degree that was really expensive, how was I going to use all this education and what I felt I had to share with the world? So I found someone to listen that was not my parents, because my parents were afraid that I was going to make the wrong choice, and leaving my job and quitting and doing all these things that were really scary for them was like, don't do that. So I hired a coach with my extra money from my city job, and she listened to me, and she believed in me, and she believed in my dreams, and this was a really important step for me to take because we need people who are going to believe in us, and we really need that push sometimes to say, yeah, you can do it. So I went and explored to Bali, and I did my yoga teacher training, and that was really just to deepen my own, I think, relationship to myself so that I could start this new path. And exploration was a huge part of that. So seeing the world, going out there, scaring myself, traveling southern India alone, doing these things that, my mom was she was so scared. And but I did them all, and I eventually found my way to Vancouver. So so I had quit my job when I was exploring, and I had saved up money and moved out of my apartment. And Vancouver, I stopped here on my way over to Southeast Asia. And I felt a calling to be here. So this is me in the forest looking very at home. And yeah, Vancouver was just a place that I knew I needed to be. So I got a one-way ticket and I came here in the summer of 2014. And had a crazy fun summer. I hadn't really ever like really partied or like done all these things that I wanted to do, just being really honest. And but when the summer was over, then I was like, okay, I need to like really figure this out. I'm running out of my money and I need to figure out how I'm gonna really tackle this. But also that part of like exploration was really important. So I think, so initiation, when you are like kind of have nothing to lose, I think we take a lot of risks. So I did this project that was purely passion driven about my body, and I photographed my body nude, and it was about bringing a conversation into the world about what women would say when I photographed them, of like, oh, just like don't show this, or can you Photoshop my arm? And I was really traumatized by hearing all of this, and it brought up a lot for me, so that was my solution. And that was obviously scary, and then, but it made me no money, but it got me some opportunities, which one of them was speaking at TEDx last fall, and this was the hardest thing I've ever done, like preparing for it, not actually getting up on the stage, but it was really like a self journey of trying to figure out like what was Body Thoughts about, and so many people kind of saw me as like the Body Thoughts girl, and I didn't really want to talk about it anymore because it wasn't resolved, but I got to on that stage. And then throughout that process, then it was about focus. So this is my commercial work. This is work I do for clients. This is a mix of commercial and personal. But after that point, I did start making money, and I was supporting myself, and I was like, okay, I got this one big job in last fall, and I took a lot of that money and put it back into my business and built a brand. I really depend on my photography to feed me, to pay for my rent, to hopefully buy me a van. And so my relationship to it is like, build a brand, focus, I want to attract the right clients, that's when the best work happens. And progress, this is a photo I took on very expired film when I was doing my master's in Queens. This is a puddle. You probably got that. But progress isn't for me like success, it's looking a month ago or a year ago and seeing that I actually have moved forward. So it's not about ever getting somewhere or like, oh my God, I didn't get there, but yeah, that's progress. This is a photo I took in Montana recently. I paid to go to a photography workshop for the first time, and it was super inspiring, run by a publication called Collective Quarterly. They're amazing storytellers, and I always bring a tripod and a camera wherever I go and photograph myself on the mountain. And this says, the real you emerges not from anyone's teachings, but from what resonates in your bones. And then this was just my most recent work, and this is a show I did as part of Contact Photography Festival in Toronto. And yeah, doing it my way, that's kind of what I want everyone to, like, that's what I want to say. It's just, there's no right answer, there's no right, I don't have any answers, I'm just sharing kind of my journey and what it's been about, and I think that putting your blinders on and getting to work is what works, and you should do it your way. So Genius is the one most like herself. This was himself, of course, so I'm changing it to herself. Because fuck that. Is there another slide after this? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think this is my last one, but that's all I have to say.